All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees. All glories to the assembled
Hare
devotees.
Krishna.
All glories to Shri Guru and Guru. Today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verse 6. Yang yang vapi smanandaham. Oh, you know it. 10Jan2016 kalevaram. Tantamevaiti kanteya. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he would attain without fail. Purport: the process of changing one's nature at the critical moment of death is here explained. A person who at the end of his life quits his body thinking of Krishna attains the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord. But it is not true a person who thinks of something other than Krishna attains the same transcendental state. How can one die in the proper state of mind? One's thoughts during the course of one's life accumulate to influence one's thoughts at the moment of death. So, this life creates one's next life. If in one's present life one lives in the mode of goodness and always thinks of Krishna, it is possible for one to remember Krishna at the end of one's life. That will help one be transferred to the transcendental nature of Krishna. If one is transcendentally absorbed in Krishna's service, his next body will be transcendental, not material. Therefore, the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare is the best process for successfully changing one's state of being at the end of one's life. Mukam nakarati vachalam, padam nam kate girim yakiban kamaham vande, Shri Gurum Dinatarinam, Amakanati Vilanasya Gananjara Sharakaya, Chakshimiritam Yena Tasai Shri Hare. So, this chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita is entitled Attaining the Supreme. How can we get the best thing, the Supreme? Remembering Krishna. And what does it mean to remember Krishna? Prabhupada explains it 17 times in the purports, chanting Hare Krishna. That's how you can remember Krishna. What happens at the time of death? Anybody here have near-death experience? If you have, then you'll know your senses slowly stop working. Your sense of touch goes, then your eyesight goes, and the last thing to go is your hearing. You can hear. When I had near-death experience, I was under anesthesia, and the first thing that came back was my hearing. I couldn't see or feel. And then after that, I could see, but I couldn't feel. So I was coming back step by step, and the same process happens at the time of death. So time passes. When we're young, we spend mostly our time in youth to get wealth. We spend our health to get wealth. But in old age, we spend our wealth to get health. So we should not waste our time. Our time passes and we neglect our real welfare. Alexander the Great, have you heard of him? He was a great king, conqueror, emperor, some hundreds of years ago. And he had gone to India actually, and he had conquered part of India. And on his way in India, he met some sage who was sitting in the road meditating on the sun god, Suryadev. And the Alexander was respectful, and he realized, oh, here is a great saintly person, let me offer him something. And he went to the sage, and he said, what can I do for you? And the sage said to Alexander the Great, could you please move out of the sunlight? You're blocking my view of the sun. He didn't ask for money, he didn't ask for wealth. He just wanted to keep on his meditation. So when Alexander was about to die, he told his general that he had 3 wishes after I die. 3 ultimate wishes. Number 1, I want the best doctors to carry my coffin. Number 2, I want all of my wealth to be scattered on the ground along the procession to the cemetery. Number 3, I want my hands to be held loose outside the coffin for everyone to see. Now, why did he want the best doctors to carry his coffin? He was trying to teach the world something. Can you tell me what that was? Why did he want the best? Yes.
So, like the best doctors, they can't save the life.
Right. Even the best doctors have no power to save you from death. Why did he want all of his money to be scattered on the road on the way to the cemetery? Anybody else? You know the answers. Yes?
So the money can't save you.
Money, well,
like death. Like what?
you go and the money stays on earth.
Yeah.
He wanted it to show how the money is scattered on the earth. You go, the money stays here. You can't take it with you. And the last one, his hand should be hanging loose outside the coffin for everyone to see. What is that lesson? Yes. What?
I'm not taking anything with me.
You go empty-handed, I heard it. Yes. You come empty-handed and you leave empty-handed. And all you take with you is your sinful and pious activities. Your ticket to hell or to heaven you take with you, or your ticket to the spiritual world. And his realization of the greatest treasure was time. He said time is the most precious thing. Although he had so much money, he had so many things, but time is more precious than anything in this world because you cannot buy it back. Now it is 6:15. And before, a few minutes ago, it was 6 o'clock. You can't buy back 6 o'clock today, January 10th, for any amount of money. That means time is the most valuable and precious thing. Of course, as devotees, we have, Prabhupada often said that we should concentrate, we should focus, we should use our time. And here in this purport, he's urging us that we should fix our minds on Krishna. We should use our time in this way, because otherwise it will just simply slip away. So, what happens at the time of death? Your whole life goes in front of you. There was one devotee. She wasn't quite a just congregational member coming to the temple. She wasn't yet a devotee, and she told us about her near-death experience. She fell off her bicycle on top of her head. And she saw her whole life go in front of her. But when it was going in front, it stopped in one place. Where did her life stop? Where did this story of her life stop? It stopped at a particular time in her teenage years where she had killed a cat. That's where it stopped. So what would have happened to her if she had died at that moment? She would have become a cat. So now we have to take pictures of the deities. That's where we want it to stop. We want our life story to stop when we see Prabhupada, when we see the deities, we see his books. Because every second we're taking pictures and keeping them in our subconscious. And at the time of death, all of them will come in front of us, and the most thing that we strongly feel, that is where we will go. And if we keep the chanting of Hare Krishna, the strongest thing in our lives, then we will go to Krishna. We will think of Krishna at the time of death. So Prabhupada explained that in the purport. Your thoughts in this life will influence your thoughts the moment of death. So this life creates your next life. So how to think of Krishna? Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna. We can also, every moment of the day, we can offer, please accept me, please take this moment, please engage me in your service. We can be grateful. Thank you, Krishna, for giving me this opportunity to serve you. There was one of my godbrothers who wrote a Vyasa Puja to Srila Prabhupada, and it was very much about his thoughts about death. He says, I'm looking forward to the end. How can I get myself to realize I'll someday be watching my final minutes tick away? Where will I be? Will I be with devotees? Will I die from an accident? Will I be in extreme pain? Will I be with people who are happy that I'm dying, people who are killing me? Or with those who are frightened, who do not know what to do or say? Death is all around us, isn't it? Yudhishthira said to his father, the most wonderful thing is that all around us people are dying, but we think we will live forever. So, when I quote from Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, do I realize one day I'll be watching my last moments slip away? What will it be like knowing I will not go back to my familiar room and I'll no longer peck away at my beloved computer? I had an experience in Christchurch, New Zealand. It was a little tremor, not a complete earthquake, but it was a tremor. It was about 2:30 in the morning. Somehow I woke up and I was chanting, and all of a sudden there was a huge thump, like somebody dropped a huge bomb or something. And my first thought was, oh, my computer is going to fall off the table. That was my first thought. I mean, I was chanting, but I was thinking about my computer, which is not a good thought at the time of death. Now, Krishna tests us during this life sometimes. What are we going to think of? Are you going to think of me, or are you going to think of your computer? And so this Maharaj is saying, I'm trying to remember my days are numbered. Each day counts. Each second counts. Each moment counts. I should try to help others. That is the real duty. I must do that. If nothing else, I can say I prayed a lot. But really, isn't that what devotion is all about? You must pray. Maybe one day you will use me for something, Krishna, when I become a little pure. Last year, I attended several funerals. In a bizarre way, I like funerals. I like being reminded that one day I will lie there. Look there, that will be my body in that casket. I will lie there with people gathered around me, at least my body, wondering what type of prasadam is going to be served later. The service will pass, and the world will go about its regular ways and habits, not skipping a beat. Not I will be gone to a different scene. This is what I always think of funerals. There is one special funeral that is the last funeral I will have to attend, at least in this life. Will I feel a sense of failure? Will I be desperate to change something that now cannot be changed? I was just reading His Holiness, I think Devamata Swami, this last year's Vyasa. He was saying at the time of death, people have 5 lamentations, different lamentations, that, oh, I let my good relationships slip by. I worked too much in my life. I didn't spend enough time with my friends and family. So different thoughts go through your mind. And so he was saying, death may come sooner than I think. Isn't death always sooner than we think? Always before we're ready? Death is never convenient or timely, is it? This year my mother passed away. A very dedicated lady, a very religious lady, a very funny lady. During my youth we were close, but after I chose to become a devotee, we become competitors. Then about 8 or 9 years ago, my mother developed Alzheimer's disease, so this is a disease where you forget. And she seemed to sincerely like me again, without a religious stipulation. But to her, I was now a stranger. The mother-child reunion in outer space. The last words she ever said to me were, "It was so nice to have met you." Interesting parting remark coming from your mother. So, Prabhupada said in a lecture, we should always think of Krishna and we'll go to Krishna. If we study our scripture, Srimad Bhagavatam, we will see how different devotees face death. The hero of the Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj, he was the one who was listening, the listener, the hearer of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. At the time of death, he said, I offer obeisances to all you brahmanas, and I pray, if I should take my birth again, I'll have complete attachment to Krishna, I'll have association with his devotees, and friendly relations with all beings. So that's the mentality of a preacher. Preacher wants to help all beings, he loves Krishna, and he has friendship with devotees. Dhruva Maharaj, have you all heard about Dhruva Maharaj? You all know who he is? He was a small boy, 5 years old, and he had perfection. He got perfection. At the time of death, a swan airplane came down from the sky to take him to the spiritual world. And what did he do when the airplane came? He didn't say, "Oh, great, here's my plane, let me get up." No. First, he offered obeisances and took blessings from all the saints who were there. Then he finished his morning program. We have our morning program here, puja and so many things. So he finished his morning program, finished his rounds, whatever he had to do. Then he circumambulated the plane 3 times. And then he got to go on the plane, and Yamaraj came, the Lord of Death came, and he put his foot on Yamaraj's head. So Yamaraj came, and he came to get the dust of his lotus feet, because he knew that this Dhruva Maharaj is not going to come back to this material world. He is beyond me, I cannot control him. He's going to the spiritual world. So let me get his blessings. We should be very careful what we do in this life. There was one man who, his experience, he had a near-death experience, and he was a very heavy military person. He was engaged by his country to assassinate people, to kill people. So he had a near-death experience, and not only he was engaged to kill people, he was engaged to sell guns to countries that were using them in wars and things. So in his near-death experience, he got the experience of each and every person he killed. He felt exactly what they were feeling when they were being killed by him. He felt what their families were feeling when they heard he died. And for every gun he sold and every bullet that was killing people, he felt what those people were feeling when they were killed and what their families were feeling. So he came back to this world a changed person. He realized what a sinful life he had been leading, and he decided to change his life. So we should be very careful how we act in this world. We will certainly suffer. If we give suffering to others, the suffering will come back to us. If we do good to others, the good will come back to us. So we should always try to do good. So it is described, devotees die and other people die. What's the difference between devotees leaving their bodies and non-devotees leaving their bodies? It's described, the analogy is given of a cat. A cat holding the rat in its mouth. What is the rat feeling when it's in the mouth of the cat? The rat is feeling terror. The rat is feeling, oh, I'm finished. The rat doesn't know, of course it does know what's going to happen, doesn't know where it's going to go. And the rat is consumed with fear. So this is how the non-devotees leave their bodies. The devotees are like kittens in the mouth of mother cat. And how does the kitten feel? In the mouth of its mother, feel, oh, my mother's taking me home. Because sometimes the kittens wander off and go the wrong direction, so the mother picks them up and puts them back. So at the time of death, Krishna will take us home. Krishna will come and take us home to Godhead. So another example of devotee facing death, Maharaj Ambarish. He was breaking Ekadashi, unfortunately, and he took water before Durvasa Muni. Durvasa got angry, he sent a demon to kill him. And Maharaj Ambarish just said, okay Lord, if you want to protect me, you can, if you want to kill me. He didn't move an inch. He was just standing there, saying, okay, whatever happens, it's okay with me. So this is how the devotee faces death. Srila Prabhupada, when he was on his deathbed, he got some presentation of books that were printed, his books in Portuguese. And he was so happy. He said, this is life. The material world is just bones. Just bones. They are not our real life. We're not concerned with bones and stones. The bone is not important. It may come, it may go. Doesn't matter. But real life is sustaining the bones. There's a science by which you can live only in your bones. He said, Hiranyakashipu did it. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, you are also doing it, Prabhupada, because he was very thin at that point, only bones. So Prabhupada said, take care of the bones as long as possible, but real life is here. The material world means they're all protecting bones and flesh together. So now I'll give you a couple of experiences of our devotees leaving their body. And both of these experiences are Mataji's. One was my god sister Kunti Devi, and this story is told by Radhanath Swami. She was never a big leader. She was never a person people honored and respected, of high position. She was a simple mother, very, very dedicated devotee of Lord Krishna. Those who knew her well honored her, but there weren't so many people who knew her well. When she got cancer, the cancer spread viciously and entered her spine and her organs and crippled her. The doctor said, there's nothing anyone can do. You have 6 months to live. She was in a wheelchair. She was paralyzed. According to the medical analysis, she had so much pain in her body. But she was always smiling, always encouraging, making everyone happy. How positive she was. The local TV people heard about it. They came and they interviewed her in the wheelchair. And they never saw anything like that in their life. And Maharaj said, I saw the program. It was a half an hour. And the hostess was just praising her. And Kunti Devi was giving lectures about the beauty of life, the beauty of bhakti, the good fortune of anyone who has Krishna. And the hostess says, how can you be so happy in your condition? So much pain. And Kunti said, because I know I am the spirit soul. I'm eternal. This body is just temporary. And this is bringing my soul closer to God. So I'm rejoicing and I'm happy. According to the doctor's diagnosis, her physical symptoms everything was utterly hopeless and miserable except one thing, her consciousness. Radhanath Swami said, I happened to have the fortune being at her bedside when she left the world. She was surrounded by loving devotees chanting the holy names, and she lovingly gave her heart and her life to Krishna in a totally positive, grateful, and happy state. Now you can't get that consciousness from any psychiatrist or psychologist. They cannot make you happy like that. Only Krishna consciousness. So that was one example. Another example was just last year in Mayapur. There was one Mataji who had cancer. Her name was Manarupa. And she left her body in Mayapur during Kirtan Mela, not in the Mela, but in her room. And her husband was taking care of her. Her husband was there, her 2 sons. And her husband was writing on Facebook. I was following the thing on Facebook because Facebook is the means of communication when you want to hear something about devotees. So she was saying, Manarupa is so happy and blissful. She said to me, you gave me some wonderful days. You took me to the most amazing places in this world. And you gave me the most loving friends and family. I had so many wonderful times. She said, but this right now is the best time of my life. You saved the best for last. Here she is dying of cancer. And she said, you saved the best for last. Imagine the consciousness. And I was watching on all these videos, all the Maharaj, the Jayapataka Maharaj came to see her. His Holiness Radhanath Swami came to see her. Hare Krishna Maharaj came to see her, read to her. Different sannyasis, they were all there, just reading to her. It seemed simple, again, a simple mother of 2 children, housewife, but a very special soul. So her husband said, throughout all this year, your struggle with health, she had no pain, and even now she doesn't take painkillers. She is fully conscious and in bliss, true samadhi. Her mind is equipoised and focused in the holy name, form and pastimes of Krishna. Devotees are coming all the time to do kirtan for us. She stopped eating solid food to become more internal and focused in the ultimate goal of life, to go back to home, back to Godhead. Now, the Lord's will is prevailing. He's giving her so much love through all the devotees and friends from around the world. So now, but now everyone is giving different comments, on Facebook how they give comments. So now he's replying to each and every one of the comments, because most of the comments are material. And he's replying in a spiritual way. So let's hear how he replies. We want her eternal well-being, not the temporary so-called health. Many people sympathized and said, we pray she is well soon. And I answer, yes, she will very soon be perfectly well forever. And she will get her eternal body. Other friends said, oh, I feel very sad to see Mataji in this condition. And I said, who is in sad condition? She is blissful, we are blissful. The body, the boat that was given to cross the ocean has done his service. She crossed. This is glorious, she doesn't need the boat. So the boat is disintegrating into the elements. The body, because the material energy cannot cross to the spiritual world. The body, the chakras, the mind, intelligence, and ego, they stay on this side. Only the soul arrives and the devotee gets his eternal spiritual body, Siddha Swarup, to serve the transcendental body of Krishna in his topmost spiritual realm, Goloka Vrindavan. So that's the answer to, I feel so sad. The next comment was, I hope she recovers soon. Yes, we lost our spiritual identity by misusing our free will, and we desire to enter into the material world away from Krishna. We have so many births and deaths here in this dark world, the shadow of the spiritual world. Now at last she is recovering her spiritual identity again. So yes, she will recover soon. Spiritual identity. Other friends said, I pray she may rest in peace. We are not the body. We don't go into a coffin, only the body does. And the body is not resting, it's just becoming dust. For us, the party is just beginning. She's not going to rest. She's going to join the party. It's going on eternally in the spiritual world. There's a huge party every day. And she's invited. She got an invitation. So, the service is starting. The activity is just beginning for her. She's not going to rest in peace for sure. She's going to be engaged 24 hours in service to Radha and Krishna. And I saw one video. They were having the kirtan in her room, and everybody, they were around the bed, kind of looking down, holding her hand, massaging her feet. And she was sitting up, and she said, come on, dance, dance. And she was kind of the life of the party. Everyone was kind of depressed and, very serious. And she said, come on, dance. And then everybody started dancing happily, because the party is just beginning. Others said, don't give up on life. But life is eternal and can never be given up. Only the material has to be given up, willingly or unwillingly. Others said, oh, there's a doctor who has saved many lives. I said, doctors can't save lives. Only Krishna can save our life from this material world. He and his representatives can save us. Mechanics can repair the car. They're not saving the car. The car is not conscious. So at this point, the supreme doctor is Krishna, and the medicine, the holy name. Other friends said, may you have strength in this time of difficulty. By Krishna's grace, He sent His divine grace to give us perfect knowledge of the soul. Nothing is difficult. Every day I'm feeling more grateful I was given the association of Manarupa for the past 25 years. And together we circled the world sharing Krishna with all of you. I'm grateful Lord Chaitanya is bringing her closer under the protection of His golden aura. Please don't feel offended. I've been asked how we are, and I honestly explained to you our lucky situation. So that was his reply to all the comments on Facebook about her and his wife. And she left her body on Ekadashi day in Mayapur, the second day of the Kirtan Mela last year. And before she left, she asked 2 questions of her husband. It was like Mangalarti time. She said, are the deities open? He said, yes. And she asked, you think it's a good time to leave? Because he was an astrologer. Her husband said yes, and she left. Like that. So this is how devotees leave their body. She was joyful. She was happy. She was going to join the party. So imagine this consciousness at the time of death. It means whole life she prepared. She prepared her whole life for this point. So we must also prepare. We must be grateful for every second that we have of our lives to prepare for the final destination. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments, we have time for questions. Are you all prepared? We have many years. Yes?
You said in the time of death, everything just comes before you.
Yeah, your whole life. It's like a film clip. Yes.
It's not a question.
Not a question. She just wanted to clarify, at the time of death, your whole life goes in front of you. Yeah, those people who have near-death experiences say this. And so that's why it's so important for you to take pictures of the spiritual things, the spiritual world, the deities. Keep those pictures very dear in your heart. Of course, when you chant Hare Krishna, then Krishna, he will take out all the material desires in your heart when you chant. He's helping us. It's not we sit alone and chant. But he's in our heart and he's helping us. He removes our material desires. So he's helping us quite a bit. But we should not put more material things inside, like watching movies, TV, and these things. That will be not good things to see on the last time of death. And everything will come. Everything will come up. So we should put these pictures. We can watch Krishna videos. We can come to the temple, see the deities. This will help us to remember Krishna at the time of death. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. Otherwise, to Shiva. We'll see you tomorrow night, 7:30. Prayers of Prahlad Maharaj.
NarayaniMtj की
Prabhupada. I was talking about you, Maharaj. Now you got a new name. What is your name? Very similar. Swimming every day.
Yeah, they're good. They're still spending month and a half there.
And you're only
Yeah.
good to see you. I don't know if I was going to see you. Last time I did it.
I spoke to him about it yesterday.